I welcome all of you to this talk show in which we will understand more about how to increase exports in the auto component industry. Before I give you an overview, I am Dev Narayanan. I head the sales and service delivery operations in TCS Ion Digital Manufacturing. And plus, we have our guest, Mr. Shashikant Khot, who's the head of quality assurance in Tata Autocomp Group. So before I introduce the speaker, our expert today, let me give you an overview of what we're going to discuss. The automobile industry is actually one of the most important drivers of the economic growth in India, and one of the most highly successful sectors. So this is also a sector in which our country has high stakes and involvement in auto sector value chains globally. The Indian auto components industry has experienced tremendous growth over the last few years. And some of the key factors contributing to this growth in business are the rise in per capita income and hence the increase in domestic demand, the increased exports, and of course, overall improvement in the consumer sentiment. According to industry reports, India has the scope to expand its market share in the global auto components trade to almost 4 to 5% by year 2026. This also has led to rise in the growth of exports and the import substitution initiatives being taken by the industry in the wake of COVID-19. To a large extent, the Atmanirbhar program, the program of self-reliance rolled out by Government of India, also has contributed in giving a push to the productivity in this sector by encouraging local manufacturing and thus increasing our preparedness to export more. As global supply chains are realigning in the post-COVID era, India has positioned herself to grab larger market share in the global auto components trade by providing world-class products at highly competitive prices. In this session, we have invited an expert to understand more about the topic of how to increase exports in the auto component industry. So it is my pleasure and honor to welcome and introduce our speaker, Mr. Shashikant Khot. He is the General Manager Quality Assurance at Tata Toyo Radiators, which is a key player in the auto component group. Welcome, Mr. Khot, to this program.
Yeah, thank you.
Also, my privilege to introduce Mr. Khot. Mr. Shashikant Khot has been associated with organizations like Motherson Automotive and with the TVS Group earlier. Presently, Mr. Khot is working with the Tata Autocomp Group as the head of quality assurance in Tata Toyo Radiators. He is an expert in handling incoming quality control, IQC, quality assurance, QA, and in-process quality control, IPQC. He has led continuous improvements in process-related characteristics. Mr. Khot is a lead auditor for ISO 9001-2000 and an internal auditor for IATF 16949-2016, having over 26 years of rich experience in automotive quality assurance with key focus on quality, cost, and delivery. Mr. Shashikant has also a strong understanding of 7QC tools, problem-solving techniques, RCA, Six Sigma, 5S and Kaizen, total productivity management, defect elimination methodology, FMEA, control plan, APQP, PPAP, SPC, SQC, MSA, and calibration. Very accomplished. He is also proactively organized, and he has conducted internal QMS process and product audits and management review, as well as assisted companies in getting various certifications for adherence to ISO 9001, QS 9000, IATF 16949, ASCS, MSCS, and MMA standards. Mr. Khot is Lean Six Sigma Black Belt certified. He has not only completed several Black Belt projects for process improvement, but also he has driven various initiatives for waste or scrap reduction, process optimization, implementation, and sustenance of 1S, 2S in all QA areas. He is currently driving TQM in Tata Toyo radiators, leading to positive change in the organization. Welcome, Mr. Khot, once again to this exclusive session on auto component exports.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Khot, for your time. To start our discussion, the first question that we have, Shashikant ji, is that what are the risks involved in exporting auto components with respect to quality and reliability? If you can explain on this.
Yeah. To explain on the risk which are involved with respect to quality and reliability on exports, the first we will start with the point of cost of poor quality. The cost of poor quality is cost of the bad part which we are sending to the OEMs or the customers which are located abroad. So normally what happens is if we miss on the product characteristics by the missing of process characteristics, the product which is going to the export customers, those products are captured and those products are rejected at export customers, and it is followed by a third-party inspection. Third-party inspection is something which we need to take the action, containment action on the suspected lot of products, where we need to verify and confirm whether the parts are okay or not okay, and whether those parts can be used on the vehicle or for the intended use or not. So the one is cost of poor quality in terms of third-party inspection. The third-party inspection cost per hour, it is not something like what we do in India, to hire the skilled person and then ask them to inspect, give the SOP. It is not so easy in the export market. Export market, there are designated third-party suppliers or the designated competent people for inspection of the parts, wherein the cost of the third-party inspection is charged on hourly basis. So one is the risk involved in terms of the debits and charges of third-party inspection. Second is if the parts are flowed into the market on the vehicle, on the area where it is to be sent. Some suppliers send the safety parts or some are functional parts, wherein if the parts are gone in the market, there is a cost of recall of the vehicles. So cost of recall is something which we have to, if there is no proper traceability of the products which are under suspect, and if those are not identifiable, then the number of vehicles to be brought in and do the containment is called as a recall or campaign of the vehicles. So the cost of campaign for replacement of good parts with bad parts or the suspected parts, and the cost of recall will be very high. The cost of reliability is something which talks about the warranty life of the product. So the warranty life of the product goes with the product design and development. Normally warranty goes by two methodologies. One is the premature failure. Premature failure is something which happens within 3 months of your supply of the product to customer. And there is one failure which happens is a reliability failure. So reliability failure is something to do with our product design, robustness of the product design. And the premature failure happens because of the lacunas in the manufacturing processes. So it is very, very essential and critical to understand which are all the critical product characteristics and critical process characteristics to maintain the product characteristic which are required by customer. Because some of them can be catched by customer at their receipt stage, some of them cannot. Because there are some pass-through characteristics which are available in the product which can be brought to the notice when the product is used in the put in the use. So to consolidate the risk involved in quality and reliability in the export market is the cost of recall, cost of campaign, cost of third-party inspection or cost of verification of the product at other countries or the export countries, and the cost of failure, warranty failures. So those are very important costs. Apart from this, there are costs associated with the packaging or the items which are very hazardous for usage in countries where hazardous materials are not allowed. So there we need to understand the laws of that particular country and understand which are all the material or the packaging material which we are using, whether those conforms to the country laws and country specifications. So these are all the tricky areas wherein we need to be very careful with respect to quality of the product, quality of the packaging, and product quality in terms of reliability of the product. So these are the risks which are involved. We have seen many examples wherein if these things are not maintained properly, the companies are bankrupt. The companies are bankrupt, they have closed the businesses because of these type of implications which are very critical to understand when we enter into the export market.
Right, Mr. Shashikant, you very well explained the risks associated with ensuring quality, particularly because it's exports. It's been very well understood, and I'm sure it will help all our viewers. Also, going on to our next point of discussion, Mr. Shashikant, when we are getting into the export business, there are a lot of factors, a lot of areas that we need to take care very carefully. First, of course, is in terms of the performance of the product. Obviously, unless our products are of extremely high quality, we will not get a permanent place in the export market. So product performance is important. Equally important is to understand the legal requirements and implications in the country or the geography that we are going to selling or export to. So how to understand the legal and the product performance requirements while entering export business, Mr. Shashikant?
Yeah, to answer this question, we have called we have the RFQ process. RFQ is requisition for quotationing. Along with RFQ, normally customers, what they do is they give us the requirement and the legal as well as product specific requirement and customer specific requirement. The customer specific requirement is called as a CSR in short. So what happens is the customer specific requirement are laid down in a systematic way as to start with what is the system requirement of that particular organization and what are all the product specific requirement and then quality management system requirement. These are the things which are called as a customer specific requirement. We need to study each and every clause of the customer specific requirement in detail to understand the product as well as process specific requirement of the customer, including its fit function performance parameters. And then in case of gap and in understanding or gap in what we are existing with and what customer is asking newly, we need to bridge that gap after talking to customer. So before going in for any signing up any business with export customers, we have to be very, very careful to understand customer specific requirement in terms of process, product and the product performance requirement. Secondly, we also need to understand what is the capability of the organization with respect to design of the product, design of the processes to meet the product requirements, and understand in detail as well as understand the legal requirements country specific, like what is the material to be used, which are the material compositions, and those kind of things are very, very critical to understand before signing up the agreement with the export customers. Understanding of the system and subsystem level assemblies where our product is going to be fitted and used, so as to understand what is the impact of system or subsystem on our product is very important before taking up the business further. And then our technical capability to support the customer, because customer will not ask only for the product which is given in the drawing. Those are called as the stated needs. There are some implied needs which are hiding behind the whole story. So these needs to be understood in detail while talking to customer, visiting customer, and understanding what is going to happen with my product once it is sent to customer. So those kind of system and subsystem requirements are very important to understand. So this is with respect to the process and product development of the development part of it, or performance of the product part of it. As long as legal is concerned, we need to understand the terms and conditions with respect to delivery, quality, and cost. We need to understand the terms and conditions of the customer. There are some normally export customers. What they do is they sign up legal agreement with all the suppliers. So understanding all legal implications, if there are any issues with respect to quality and reliability, what is going to happen with that particular incidences, understanding and agreeing upon customer commonly plays very important role to avoid further implications of the business. Secondly, what I feel is the country specific norms or the country specific laws. If there is a safety issue happens with your product on the vehicle, so what are all the things which we need to face legally in other countries or with that OEM, that needs to be understood. So there are some issues wherein if there are issues in the product or the part which we are supporting to export customers, export customer, what they do is there is always clause being put saying that if there is an issue and if the support of containment action or third party inspection is not provided on time, the line stoppage happens. That line stoppage will be debited as per the the number of cars lost during production. So secondly, we also need to understand whether the insurance kind of thing as a backup. The insurance is already given. We have to take the insurance in terms of calling the recall process or to face the warranty failure or field failures. Those kind of legal things which are very important to understand before going in for signing and starting the business with export customers.
Right. RFQ, I think that is the main thing. Understanding the request for quotation document properly, understanding the stated needs, understanding the implied needs, and of course the contractual and legal requirements. I think you put it in perspective. Thanks, Shashikant ji, for that. That actually takes us to the next question, which is in terms of the cost of production and quality. What is the cost? Because these are very critical factors when we talk of export business. So, what are the success factors in exports? Both in terms of cost, or if there are any other factors, Mr. Shashikant.
Yeah, I will put it in two ways. There are two types of factors, or the two group of factors which are very important to maintain cost and improve export quality. The first one is internal to organization, the other one is external to organization. So the external to organization is called as external environment, and internal is definitely which is under control of the organization. So internally, the strategic focus. Strategic focus is involvement of bottom to top people. So we have to be very, very focused when we are handling export customers, export orders or export parts. So leadership involvement and leadership focus is very important. The people, we have to be very, very focused on people. That is the competency of the people, learning and development of the staff, and then the operative people who are working on the processes and product day in and day out. The operations are very important with respect to maintaining the processes as defined or as approved by the customer during the production part approval process, and then maintain it forever to exhibit the consistency in the product quality. The marketing is very important. The second point is related to marketing. The marketing plays a very important role with respect to customer relations, then understanding sales volumes and supply of the parts as per the delivery requirement. And with respect to quality and sales, it is very important to give the responses to the customer in time. So that is called as a responsiveness. The finance is also important. It's one of the factor which plays very important role with respect to giving the equipments and facilities for manufacturing which are required. So one is finance. The secondly, robust product and process design. So robust process and product and process design is a key factor for ensuring that the export parts are not getting paid or not getting defectives at customer end. And most important, the internal factor is to sustain the improvements which are being done or the sustenance, that is called as a daily work management, DWM. So DWM is very, very critical to ensure that the process and products are sustained at the level where they are, and those are not deteriorating, and we are improving above that particular level. So that is called as a daily work management. And daily work management has to happen at different levels of the organization, right from the operators to CEO of the company. So these are the internal factors. As long as external factors are concerned, there are political circumstances, there is change in leadership of the country or leadership of the states, then currency exchange rates, which are very important. So those are all the things which are very important with respect to success factor for exports. If, somewhere we have seen that the change in the currency also impacts the business or the profit or the loss. So how we understand and how we agree upon with customer with respect to change in currency rates are very important. Then social and consumer behavior. So we also have to take care that how my customer behavior with respect to my product, whether they are confident, not confident, and that confidence building has to be done by us, being through our the quality of the product. Then the productivity and inflation and demand in the market. So these are the external factors which are very important for maintaining the cost. Now coming back to your the cost of poor quality. So how we have to maintain the cost of poor quality? In totality, if you ask me, the cost of quality includes the prevention cost, appraisal cost, and cost of bad quality, that is cost of failure. So cost of failure is also called as a cost of poor quality. Now cost of poor quality comes from where? The cost of poor quality comes from internal rejection, the customer rejections or customer sales returns, the warranty or the field failures, and the charges which we give for third party inspection or the verification of the product at export customers. So addressing all these factors, internal, external factors, and addressing and maintaining the processes and internal rejection in place, the customer PPM in right value, and avoiding all warranty failures is the factor for maintaining and minimizing the cost of exports, and then increase the profit or bottom line of the company. That is what I feel.
Right. So external factors are as important as internal factors. They play a very important role in in supporting the whole business of exports and how it facilitates an export-oriented organization. So I think that was very informative, Mr. Shashikant.
Yeah.
Well, actually, when we talk of building and achieving quality, with your wide experience, Shashikant ji, can you share your thoughts on the importance or the role of maintenance and upgradation of 4M to sustain and improve manufacturing processes, particularly with keeping exports in mind? What is the role or criticality of 4M in improving the manufacturing processes?
Yeah, when we talk about 4M, it is basically comes out as a change management. So it is so important, but change management is one of the part in built-in quality. So built-in quality includes there are 10 factors which are very important for ensuring that my product is or the processes are creating the quality in the product. So product quality is not always, it is said by many quality gurus that quality is not checked in the product. Quality is manufactured in the process and checked in the processes. So it is rather improving. If you look back the era of quality, earlier it was quality control, or to start with it was inspection and then quality control, and now it is quality assurance. So quality assurance is the role of the branch of quality department or the quality as a function, which is giving the confidence to customer that rather checking the product, I am controlling my process which delivers the good quality of the product. So nowadays it is very, very important and critical that rather controlling and rejecting the product at end of line, the control of the product in the processes or controlling the processes, it plays very important role. And to control the process and review the processes and products timely, there are ways available or the defined by many OEMs and being followed by many Tier 2, Tier 1 companies as well. So to start with the FRTS, you must be aware of FRTS. FRTS is something fast response tracking system. So that fast response tracking system is a board or is the area wherein multidisciplinary approach is always applied. There are different functions of the company comes together in the morning at that place, and they discuss about yesterday's customer pains, they discuss about our internal pains, and they arrive at actions analyzing the defects or the problems, not only related to product, but also machine, process, man related problems, everything. So this is the tool which is given by the OEMs to understand how we act to the problems very fast and take the actions to avoid damages to the customer and internal damage to the organization. There are second thing which is important is quality gates or the firewalls. The firewall is something which we put at the end of line after final inspection, and the final inspection and firewall are the two different stages of inspection or the product verification, wherein the critical parameters of the product which is related to bit function performance, we call that as A class areas or type A parameters of the product, CTQ parameters of the product. Those are verified on firewall, and firewall is being released by the products are released from the firewall by different person who is independent of the production. So those quality gates and firewalls are important to protect customer and protect organization with cost of bad quality. Then comes the error proofing. Error proofing is something also called as a POCOI case. POCOI case is we have to define all CTQ parameters of the process, CTQ parameters of the product, and we have to understand what is the capability of my process and what is the capability of my product to identify that particular or to maintain the quality of that particular parameters and maintain those particular parameters into the CPK value of more than 2. So if it is not possible to maintain CPK value within more than 2, what normally automotive OEMs or the automotive Tier 1, Tier 2 companies does is they go in for implementing the simple POCOI case over there, which does not allow. There are different types of POCOI case. One is prevention type, other is detection type. So if there is a defect, the next process, not subsequent process will identify that particular process from previous process stage, and it will not allow the process to happen further. That is called as a detection. The prevention POCOI is something which prevents the processing of the part in the same process itself. So different types of POCOI are implemented to avoid bad process or bad product to be processed, to send further to the internal customer and then to the external customer. Then comes the workforce training. Out of 4M, 1M is man. The man is very important in the processes where there are dominancy related to workforce. The dominancy, wherever the dominancy is related to man, we have to ensure that those critical processes are manned with the minimum scale level which are required and which is identified that for that particular process. So suppose there is a process of leak testing and it is manual operated or the manual dependent process, then in that case the skill of the person is very, very critical. As if the person is unskilled, there is a chance that the defective product will pass from that particular process, or there will be more of internal rejection created from that particular process if the skill levels are not good. So upgrading the skill levels of the people is also very important. The second thing is the identifying potential failure modes. The identifying potential failure modes in the product and in the processes with the severity of that particular failure mode and the occurrence and detection rankings, as to understand how the current prevention and detection controls are strong enough. So that is to be done with the tool of FMEA. FM is something failure mode effect analysis, which talks about what is the effect on customer, what is the effect on next process, what is the effect on end user who is using the vehicle. So that is how we have to understand what is the severity of the failure and which are all the controls I have got in current scenario in my process to detect and prevent the defect. So those kind of evaluations of for the risk assessment and mitigation of the risk, mitigation plan for the risk has to be done to understand and to maintain the quality, building quality of the product. Next comes if there at all any non-conforming product coming out of the process. How I am managing those non-conforming products? Non-conforming product is something which is treated like a bomb in organizations like mechanical industries, because one non-conforming product flowing into or mixing into okay product will create havoc at export market. So even one product goes to the export market as a mix-up or any defective product, the whole parts which are sent are called as a suspect parts. So the cost of poor quality there is very high. So it is very, very critical to understand how we are handling, how do we handle the non-conforming product when we detect them as a non-conforming. So there are sort of processes, there are sort of methodologies how we have to handle. There are lock and key arrangements. There is a responsibility and authority to open the lock and key and dispose the non-conforming products. So those are the things which are very important, very, very critical to understand. The second thing is layered process audit. The layered process audit is something which the audits are planned from the level of manager or supervisor of the shop to the CEO level. So what happens is there is always pressure that the whole organization top management is focused on that particular processes. They have to go at the defined frequency on the process and audit the process as per control plan and ensure that everything is running as we defined and there are no deviations in the process and products. Okay. And then comes lastly supply chain, which is the control on supplier parts. We have the sub suppliers. If we are tier 1, we have tier 1. It is called, for OEM it is tier 2. So how we are managing the suppliers with respect to quality, delivery and cost is very important. Now with respect to maintaining the cost of the product, it is very essential to get the correct quality parts of the suppliers in time to us. That is to be ensured, and for that we have different tools like monitoring of the supplier, then scheduling to the supplier, and then going to the supplier end and auditing them, auditing their processes, auditing their quality management systems, and so on. And last and not least is 4M change management. There is a study done by Toyota in maybe 10 years back or so, wherein they came up with the very surprising news that whatever the automotive industry face the problems in the market, or the Toyota, you must be knowing that Toyota is the company who does the maximum recall in the market. So they came up with the analysis that whatever the problems happens in the market on the cars, it is 87% of the problems are happening because we don't manage the 4M change management. So 4M change is something like changes in the manufacturing processes with respect to man, machine, method and material. Whenever we change anything out of these particular things, it is very, very essential and important to assess the risk and feasibility and involve customer whenever you change anything like that, and validate the processes, validate the product, and doubly sure that the quality of the product or the expectation of customers are never defaulted. So these kind of exercises or controls are very, very crucial, and these kind of controls on the 4M, if you maintain this, I don't think going ahead doing business in export market successfully is a bit difficult. There is nothing difficult in doing that. In fact, we may grow ahead.
Okay, that was very interesting, Shashikant ji. I think man, method, material, and machine, the 4M. I think how critical it is to maintaining quality levels and how it's critical to exports. I think, and of course, your knowledge and the experience that you have on TQM you've shared, and I'm sure the viewers will be extremely happy to have got this information. Now, before we close our discussion, one thought which comes is the whole world is talking, particularly in India, everybody is talking about post-COVID, China will lose its market and the entire supply chain will shift to India. What is your thought on that, Shashikant ji? I mean, do you think India will become the next hub of automobile manufacturing, Autocomp industry?
Yeah. In fact, we are in the process of doing the business planning for FY22. Since we are in TQM, we are in the process of doing policy management for FY22, and we have aspirations. We have the vision for FY26 as well. So based on that, we had a couple of meetings happened on this particular aspect, wherein we are doing Pestal. Pestal is something which checks all the external environment, how it is happening with respect to political, environmental, then economical, social, and technological. How the changes are happening outside to the company. Those are very important to understand before we plan futures or plan for the coming next 2 years or 3 years or 1 year. So we were checking up how the external environment is changing and how it is affecting our organization in favorable manner or non-favorable manner. We were checking it. There is one factor which has came up is localization or the Atmanirbhar Bharat. So how we can materialize that particular thing. So we had some strategies. We have some sort kind of things, the opportunities and threats which are coming out of this particular question. We are trying to use them and converting them into strategies to improve our business in coming future. So it is an opportunity, I would say.
Right.
We are really working very hard on encash this particular opportunity.
Right, wonderful. So as we close this session, I would request Mr. Shashikant if you can share to our viewers in terms of key takeaways from our session. What are in addition to whatever you discussed, Shashikant ji, if there are specific things that you would like to share, what are the critical aspects that people in the quality domain really need to take care of and make sure that they follow? Are there any final remarks and takeaways from your side?
Yeah. To consolidate whatever we discussed all along for half an hour now, as we discussed the drive of our PM for Atmanirbhar Bharat and the promotion given for exporting the products, I think we should take this as an opportunity, and then we should start developing our capability. And keeping in mind whatever we discussed related to the product quality, process quality, the maintaining all the basic parameters of the process or product, and always be very careful on the customer voice, because export customers normally they are not like Indian OEMs or Indian customers. What they do is they speak less and do more. So we need to understand this particular thing, and we cannot neglect. We neglect. Normally, what happens is in Indian market, it's a learning for me as well. In Indian market, normally what we do is we have the intention, or there unintentionally we always sidetrack or we neglect some of the voice of the customers. So what happens is if you neglect and if you don't take the actions in time, in very early stage, then the things will multiply. There is a rule of 10. Rule of 10 is something the losses and profits also increase in as you go ahead and ahead. The losses or profit will go on increasing by multiplying by 10. So early is the better. So that is the message I can give. Whether it is doing good or doing bad, early stage is very, very critical. And secondly, DWM is something daily work management. The policy management happens to improve the processes, improve or shift the mean from one place to other place towards betterment. But then once the improvements are done as a breakthrough improvements, maintaining those particular improvements on the shop floor is to be done through daily work management. Daily work management is something which is always to be seen whether my process and products are normal or abnormal. If you find there is an abnormality, there has to be immediate reaction to the abnormality. So this kind of the fast response is reacting to the abnormalities very fast is the key success factor. To keep yourself in a green zone and not even you should not allow you to go into the yellow zone. I will not talk about red zone part of it. So these are the very important things. Maintaining internal processes, creating capability of the people, because it is not only internal processes which are very important. The capability of the people, capability of our tier 2 suppliers, and in terms of delivery cost and quality is very, very important to grow in business, whether it is export or domestic. These are the key factors in the businesses which we cannot neglect, or we have to focus more upon it. So I think this is a very good chance. Coming years are very golden years, going to be very, very challenging years as well with respect to how we are going to put our efforts and encash those market opportunities. And there are opportunities in export market as well. So putting ourselves in a very, very safe shoes and in improving our capability, we should drive this export business very largely. There are very high level of opportunities available. Only thing, taking care of processes and products and building up the capability of people and suppliers are the key factors.
Absolutely. So there's huge opportunity out there for India, and we are at the very fine moment, the cusp of exploring this opportunity and performing to our potential. There cannot be a better time. So I think thank you, Mr. Shashikant. I think you've shared a whole lot of critical information which would be very useful about the overall quality perspective. So not just on the quality of the products, but I think the content and the information which you shared also was extremely high quality. So thanks so much for taking your time out and joining us in this talk show. It has been very useful and very informative, and we are really grateful to you for having joined in this session. Hopefully, we will look forward to more such interactions and opportunities to discuss with you. Thank you very much, Shashikant ji.
It's really, I'm very thankful to you and your team.